And so that's sort of solved the problem. Now I just sort of make it as awkward as possible.
Yeah.
You know, if they're going to go there.
I love that.
We're just going to sit in
I'm
it.
gonna go with you.
We're going to
Exactly.
sit in it for a moment and think about what we've done before we move on here.
That's the best. It's the best.
super
Yeah, so I'm
funny.
learning to have fun with it. But also I think I've only been practicing for 5 years. I think it's less than 5 years I've been practicing, but I've been with the lovely law firm 5 years, I think, yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So-
Congrats.
The congratulations goes to us.
Congrats.
As I get
Everybody. It's a
yeah, as
community
I get to know, as I
celebration.
get working on these cases more and more involved in the community, I think it's happening less and less,
Yeah.
at least in Horry County, but it's still all over the place. It's in the courtroom all the time, and it's a lot of times it's clients or defendants, you know, that we've named in the lawsuit that are looking down at me like, who is this little girl that's asking all these questions? And I'm
The one
like,
that's going to take all your money and stick you in the box where you need to be.
yeah, I'm happy to ask them.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like Sharde, like, please underestimate me, you
Yes.
know, and just
Yeah.
and look over me and ignore me because all this is on the record.
Yeah,
and we're coming back
you
to
about to
it.
go down. Well, Amy, I mean, I'm sure you have a little bit of a different perspective because both of these ladies have been helped by you. Did you have somebody to help you, or have you run into things? I know Sharde was talking about being this short little thing, and of course, you can relate to that. You know, you're like,
I got 1 inch on her.
you tend to call yourself kind of like, you know, the bulldog that comes in, kind of underestimated as well. Tell me a little bit about kind of what you've gone through.
I remember when I first started practicing law, Justin and I were at a wedding. For those of you who don't know, Justin's my husband. Some people don't, new to this game, don't realize that we're married. And we are equal partners in the lovely law firm, 50-50, which is very surprising that when I meet other husbands and wives, the husband always wants 51%. That was never even a question. Justin just filled it all out. Like,
Yeah.
wow. He is a keeper. But I remember we were at this wedding and I just started practicing law and I was pregnant and there was this older man there and we were in Tennessee in Nashville and he said, so what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm an attorney. I'm a lawyer. And he said, a lady lawyer. Like it was like the craziest thing he'd ever heard. I was like, yeah, they let us vote and everything. Can you believe it? Like, but I bet he said lady lawyer 30 times. A real life lady lawyer. I was like, yeah, we're like on the Supreme Court and everything. Or like I got a cashmere sweater made, or not the sweater made, but I got it embroidered, and it says lady lawyer like right here on the corner because that made me giggle so much. You know, I didn't have anybody,
Yeah.
and I knew what that felt like. And I remember, so my mom, we talked about my mom being a guardian ad litem, but that was a volunteer job. She was the CFO of a very, very large corporation. And she used to tell me, Amy, it's a man's world. And that made me so mad. Like, I didn't even know what that meant. Because she and my dad made me feel like I could be the president of the United States if I wanted to be. And I still believe that. If I really want to be president of the United States, I could be. I had parents that empowered me in that way. But my mom would tell me as I got older, it's a man's world, it's a man's world. And she would tell me these stories about like other presidents of company would come in and they wouldn't negotiate with her on things because
They want to talk to the man.
she had a vagina. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Like I couldn't even wrap my mind around it. And then I became a lawyer. And reality in life smacked me in the face. And you know, I worked for a guy who told sexual jokes every day and, you know, did and said things that weren't appropriate or just plain wrong. And I realized that's what I had a judge, you know, after I'd had a baby, I'd still on maternity leave. I'd had a baby 20 days prior. Make me come to court. I was cut from hip to hip. Had an emergency C-section. Had milk leaking from my breast and told me to get my ass to court. And when I got there, he yelled at me for not wearing a jacket. And it wasn't out of disrespect. It's because I couldn't fit in one that I owned, you know? And so I have had all these moments. I never want anybody else to feel like that again, you know?
Yeah.
And Justin watched me go through those things, and he can't go beat up everybody, you know? Even when he wants to, he can't go beat up everybody, and so he's watched me, and so, like, he doesn't want any other woman to ever feel like that either.
Well, and I do want to give props, to Justin, because he embraces female attorneys and always says positive things, complimentary things, respectful things, listens to our female clients, with the empathy that you ladies would give them as well. And so that's unusual, and I'm grateful that that's
It's so
part
like
of the
that.
lovely law
I had
firm.
someone say, an owner of a company, like, oh, that's just how men talk. And I said, my husband doesn't talk like that.
No, he
He's
definitely
never
does not.
made anybody, never made a comment, sexual or otherwise, that made any woman in our office feel uncomfortable, and that he
Very
would not
true.
say in front of his own mother or his own grandmother. So no, that's not how men talk. That's how some men talk.
That's right.
But that's not how they're supposed to talk.
And
Very
also,
true.
it is awesome that Amy's a partner, because there's nothing like more empowering than there are situations where you're like, I do have to call my boss. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm calling my boss. And then it's like, Amy gets on the phone.
Yes.
And I'm just
Like, oh no, you go, you do that, you go fix that.
you expected.
Yeah.
Like, here she is.
Well, here's a great example of the lovely law firm. Okay, so it's 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock. Got the babies in bed. I'm scrolling Instagram, and Sharde had just started with us. She'd been with us a week, and her baby. How old was Angel?
She's 4 months.
Okay, so she was for her 4-month shots, 3-month shots. So she had to have her shots, and she is FaceTiming while with her and her husband. Dennis is very capable and all those things, but I'm seeing the screenshot of her like FaceTiming the doctor and her baby who was having to get its shots. And the next morning I said, why did you not go to that doctor's appointment? Are you kidding me? No offense to daddies, but you cannot be trusted with shots and doctors. And she's like, well, I just started. And I was like, no. Let me just tell you something. It is a requirement of this job. You will be fired if you do not go to your baby shots. Like, we do not miss those moments. And that's just how we feel. Like, I mean, a big part of our office is breastfeeding. And we have a place for you guys to do that and feel comfortable. And it's really nice to have another woman in the office that understands.
Well, I know that was, even when I was being hired, I sat down with you, Amy, and Justin, and I had just had a baby. So my baby's a little over a year now, but she was, 7-8 months then or something. And I was still nursing. And I remember that exact scenario where it was kind of like, I just want you to be aware that I do have a baby and I am nursing. And, and Amy was like, I'm a mother. He's a father. Like, your kids will always come first, like you will always be front and center at their plays and at their, sporting events and whatever.
You don't have to clock out to do that. I will pay you to go to your baby's things. Like, we're not going to worry that we're not going to be able to make our house payments because of.
And how unusual and amazing and wonderful. You know what I mean? I mean, that kind of stuff is just not. At a previous job that I had, I mean, both of my little ones, I was gone 2 weeks and back. That was my maternity leave, 2 weeks, and I was back. And I had an emergency C-section.
It's insane.
And
That's insane. That's insanity.
and then a VBAC with my second one. And so, it just sucks.
But also the strength of a woman.
Yes. Yes.
Only.
Well, everybody told me, they were like, there's no way you'll be back. There's no way. Like, you need to make other plans. There's no way you'll be back. And I was like, oh, I'll be back. I'll be back at 2 weeks. You watch.
When life gets ugly, justice is love.